everybody, I'm meteorologist Gavin Sandell. Well, thanks to a recently departed cold front, temperatures will be at their coolest since late spring for the next 2 nights. It's around this time we mention frosts and freezes as well. These two terms, carrying heavy weight on the agriculture industry, spell different outcomes for plants and crops. So let's break them down, and we'll go all the way outside and look at a blade of grass over here. And what we do is we talk about the impacts of frost and freezes, because those two things are different. So for frosts, this is when ice crystals form on the outer edges. Frosts occur when the ambient temperature outside, or the thermometer level temperature, is above 32, just under 36 degrees. However, due to radiational cooling, the ground actually gets a little bit cooler because of all the heat lost overnight. So when the ground is at 32 degrees, but it's not cold enough for the interior of the grass to cool off, then we get some ice crystals forming on the outer edges. So it's not terrible in terms of the health of the plant, maybe just some leaf damage, but when it really gets bad is when the actual temperature outside, or the thermometer level temperature, gets below 32 degrees. That's when we get freeze conditions, and in terms of plant health, that's when the actual water inside of the plant freezes and spells a pretty poor outlook for the plant. It usually either dies or goes dormant and spells the end for growing season as well. So in terms of plants and frost and freezes, in frost conditions, you don't really need to take too many preventative steps. Covering plants in those conditions are great because they trap that heat which would have otherwise been lost as well. But in terms of freeze conditions, if that temperature is going to be forecasted to get down below 32 degrees, I would recommend you either bring them inside or maybe just assume that the growing season is coming to an end. So now let's take a look at history as well. These are the climatology of frosts and freezes in our area, and we're looking at the last 10 years of the first date that we've got below 36, or at or below 36. And over the 30-year average, we've gotten to October 6th, so we're just 2 days late, which is pretty good schedule-wise. We've gotten all the way from the end of August, and I believe the latest frost on record is at the end of October. We'll do the same with freezes. This comes 10 days later on October 16th, that 30-year average. And again, it goes all the way in the last 30 years between the end of August and mid-November as well. That's the first time we get below 32 degrees in our area. So now let's take a look ahead in the future. Thursday morning, we could see frost conditions, especially in western Pennsylvania. Once you get to the high tops and the ridges, could see some frost conditions as well towards the airport and in Ohio, although it is less likely than what we could see on Friday as well. And because it's going to be a little bit cooler that morning, because high pressure is going to be a little bit stronger, bringing those winds in from the north, we could actually see some freeze conditions, especially towards the east in the high tops and the ridges in Pennsylvania. So I think Mercer and Lawrence counties, those counties are both in a freeze advisory or a freeze watch currently. We could see very, very isolated pockets of freeze, but if not, I think we're almost certain to see a frost as well those 2 nights. To put it in perspective though, this air will be the coolest since late May and could put an end to our 174-day plus growing season. For Weather 101, I'm Gavin Sandell.